If you're looking for drill bit sharpening tips, then you've come to the right place. This article discusses what to look for when sharpening your own bits and how to make sure you're getting the best results. In addition, you'll learn how to sharpen a tip and how to properly discard a bit if it's not working for you. When sharpening a drill bit, there are a number of things to consider. For example, if you're attempting to drill a hole in hardwood, you want to make sure that the tip of the drill is not chipping off, as this could potentially weaken the integrity of the steel. You should also be aware of the proper ways to hold the drill, as a slipping bit can result in cuts in your skin. One way to ensure that the tip of the drill bit is not causing problems is to make a split point. A split point is a type of drill bit that is used to create precise holes in wood. Typically, these types of bits are not classified by the hardware store. However, they are typically sold with a transparent packaging that shows off the cut edge. This is one of the main reasons they are so useful. If you're interested in learning how to sharpen a drill bit, you'll need to consider the size of your machine and the kind of materials you'll be working with. For instance, a 135-degree bit will require a lot more turns than a 118-degree bit. Also, be careful to not over-tighten the chuck. This can cause the bit to walk and make it harder to get a clean cut. As with all types of tool sharpening, it's important to be aware of the pitfalls. To start, you'll need to wear safety glasses. The proper safety precautions should include using a glove when handling the bit. In addition, you'll also want to make sure that your hand is not obscuring the tip of the tool. Ideally, you'll want to keep the device as close to the wheel as possible. This allows you to get a better idea of the proper angle. But remember that you'll be rubbing the wheel against the bit, which can cause coatings to wear off. It's a good idea to keep the plug in the split port to reduce the amount of metal chips that come out. To achieve the most efficient cutting, you'll want to put both edges of the bit in the same angled position. Depending on the type of material you're working with, you'll need to rotate the chuck clockwise with a half turn. This will allow the edges of the point to sharpen at the same angle. Lastly, you'll need to get the chisel angle on your drill bit right. Most drill bits will have a chisel mark, which you can use to determine the appropriate relief for your drill. With a bit of practice, you can get a pretty accurate chisel angle. While you're at it, you'll probably also want to experiment with the various types of points. Drilling with drill bits is a complex operation with many factors influencing the performance of the drill. For example, the helix angle of the bit, the shape of the chisel, the length of the lip, the amount of friction on the rake face, the axial thrust force, and the speed of rotation all play an important role. To perform drilling effectively, the operator needs to use a sharp drill bit. It is also necessary to know what a good sharp bit looks like. A properly sharp bit has a chisel angle of at least 1.5 o'clock and a heel that is lower than the point. There is an option to recondition surgical drill bits to restore the pristine geometry of the cutting tip. However, reconditioning can be costly. The price of a single drill bit can exceed $100. Therefore, if the bit is not in good condition, reprocessing is a more economical alternative. Drill bit performance is affected by numerous factors, including the material properties and anatomical constraints. In addition, bone is an anisotropic porous viscoelastic composite, so it is not homogeneous in its properties. Thus, the bending moment experienced during the operation can overload the bending strength of the drill bit. This translates into a reduced cut rate and a higher probability of breakage. Moreover, the helix angle of the drill bit has an influence on torsional rigidity. Narasimha and coworkers reported a parabolic relationship between torsional rigidity and the helix angle. Interestingly, the maximal temperature elevation of the drill bit is not dependent on the helix angle. Another important factor affecting the performance of a drill bit is the thermal loading it faces. If a solid cylindrical bar were drilled at a given feed rate, the deformation profile would be uniform. However, since drill bits are held perpendicular to the process material, the chisel is forced to smear the workpiece while the drill is manipulated. Consequently, wear is created on the chisel and affects its dimensions. Wear on the cutting face of a drill bit is an observable defect. The cumulative effect of wear on the cutting face of the drill bit leads to an increase in its maximal temperature. This increase manifests itself as an increased axial thrust force. Heat transfer from the drill bit is dissipated by the surrounding soft tissues. Furthermore, a sharp bit is capable of cutting material quickly and efficiently. On the other hand, a dull bit is capable of making a hole that is off-center. This can result in the creation of craters on the rake face. Also, a blunted drill tip can exacerbate microfracture of the host bone adjacent to the drilled defect. Surgical drills are typically made of surgical-grade stainless steel. They need to be able to withstand axial thrust forces and shear forces. These forces can unravel a drill bit if the bit is overloaded or if the drill bit is not symmetrical. Fortunately, drills are available that can be adjusted with a special tool called the drill doctor. An SEM, scanning electron microscopy, is also useful for assessing wear on the cutting edges of a drill bit. If the material used for the drill bit is not biocompatible, then reconditioning the bit is an economically sound option. Drill bits come in different varieties and sizes. They range from HSS to cobalt to tin-coated. Some are better than others when it comes to sharpening. However, no matter the type of drill bit you have, you'll need to have the right tools in order to make your work easier and more efficient. The chisel, the mouth, and the landing are all important, so make sure you have a solid grasp of these. The best way to find out the quality of a particular bit is to measure it. You can do this by using templates or by comparing the length of the tip against the diameter of the bit. Using the wrong measuring device may lead to incorrect results. This is also a good time to check the feed and speed of your drill. If you find that it is cutting too fast, you'll need to slow down and take more care. Otherwise, you could be left with a hole that is too big for the bit. Make sure you've got a good chuck and clamping devices to hold your drill. Also, don't forget to wear safety glasses. One of the more nifty things about a sharpener is that it can be used to clean the inside of the bit. By running the drill through the cleaning machine, you'll be able to remove any dull spots. As the machine rotates, brushes will rotate and clean the dull area. This is a great way to keep the bits clean and in working order. A drill bit with a large number of features is more complicated to use than a small one. To achieve a good result, you need to know how to position the tool and how to make the most of its features. Once you've mastered the art of drilling, you'll be able to save yourself a lot of headaches. The best way to get the most out of your new drill is to make sure you don't end up with a squeaky or dull one. While there are plenty of drill sharpening machines out there, you can also use a bench grinder or a handheld sander. For this purpose, a belt sander is a great choice. It can be positioned in a comfortable position, and its rounded belt can be maneuvered around the drill to a more comfortable angle. Another way to make the most out of your drill is to look into SPA facets. These can be added to any drill, but the ones that are most likely to make your job easier are those on larger bits. In addition to allowing you to cut better, they will make your technique less important. Finally, you'll want to be sure you've got the right size and shape of your bit. You can measure the diameter of the tip, and you can measure the length of the lip. This will help you find the best angle for the chuck. If you want to create a Viking design on a wooden axe, you have a few choices. First of all, you have the Inn style, the Mammon style, and the Jelling style. During the Viking Age, Scandinavians carved almost all of their wood surfaces. They used elaborate decorations and embellishments on everyday items. This type of art continues today. The most famous style is the Jelling style. It was the court style of King Harald Bluetooth, who ruled from 958 to 986. The Great Beast motif dominates this style. It features a long, slender serpent or snake that wraps around one of the Great Beast's forelimbs. In some renditions, the serpents may twist around the Great Beast's torso. It is also distinguished by a symmetric ring chain composition. Spiral hip joints are often depicted, along with spiral wrists and ankles. Ring chains are sometimes capped with a high-relief animal head. The Jelling style is one of the oldest styles in Scandinavian art. An ornament in a royal burial mount at Jelling in Denmark is a perfect example of this style. Although the Jelling style shares many features with the Boar and Mammon styles, it is distinct in its own right. Another feature of the Jelling style is the presence of human figures. While they are not common in the Viking Age, they are found in this period. These figures often appear on wooden objects, such as a lid of a carved box. The animals in the Jelling style are generally ribbon-shaped, but they have a more complex body than those in the Boar or Mammon styles. They have long spiral hip joints and a spiraled pigtail. However, their bodies are more symmetrical than their Boar counterparts. Many have open jaws, whereas their Boar counterparts have a folded upper lip. In addition to its great popularity, the Jelling style has been incorporated into the Mammon style. It is known as the court style of King Harald Bluetooth, and it is evident on various artifacts. As Christianity is more prevalent in Scandinavia, burial practices change. Other elements of the Jelling style include the use of exaggerated geometric shapes, such as the foliate motifs. These are borrowed from the Frankish and Anglo-Saxon influences. The Oseberg ship burial mound is another notable example of the Viking Age. This mound is located near Tunsberg on the Oslofjord coast. This burial mound was discovered in the early 20th century. The Mammon style is a decorative element incorporated in the ornament on an axe blade. Symbolizing the axe as a ceremonial object, the axe head features winding tendrils, a spiral hip joint, and a fabulous bird. The Mammon style can be found in artifacts from various regions. Objects are often engraved in relief. While some are in high relief, others are in low relief. Artifacts of the Mammon style can be found in the area of the Danish village of Mammon. Some of the objects that have been found there are dated to the early 9th century. These objects also demonstrate a wealth of information on the visual culture of Norse people. An example of this style can be seen on a royal burial mount in the Jelling, Jutland, Denmark area. In addition to the royal burial mount, a small silver cup is found that bears an inscription that refers to the conversion of Denmark by the Vikings. Another prominent feature of this style is the use of plant scrolls. These scrolls are characterized by abrupt twists and are not simply copying foreign elements. Unlike the Jelling style, the body of an animal in the Mammon style is usually more complex. It is often accompanied by a hatched infill pattern. A characteristic of the Mammon style is the tendency to use a small number of motifs to fill an area. These motifs usually end in tendrils that have a wide range of functions. The Mammon style is a natural development of the Jelling style. This style is also referred to as the court style of King Harald Bluetooth. The Mammon axe was a highly prized tool, used by both military and household personnel. Its head was adorned with inlaid silver motifs. Interestingly, the axe's blade dates to the winter of 970 to 971 AD. During the Mammon period, there were two distinct styles of wood carving. Both had their own distinctive motifs, but there was also some overlap. However, the more popular designs in the period were the band-shaped creatures. At the end of the Mammon period, hybrid mixtures were found. These hybrids include the gripping beast motif seen on the bow and stern of the Oseberg ship. The Inn style of ornamentation is named after the stave church of the same name in Sognefjord, Norway. It is one of the few art forms to survive the Viking Age, and was highly prized by its practitioners.